Hey, and welcome to my channel. My name is Care Monique if you are new here, and I am so excited that you've decided to join me. Please like my channel, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Instagram at Care Monique. If you are someone who is into becoming a shoe or handbag designer without going to formal school, or if you are experiencing grief in some capacity, and in particular grief while being an entrepreneur or even a side hustler, because some of us are experiencing this when we get alone by ourselves, working on our visions and our dreams. So in today's video, we're actually just going to have a little bit of a conversation. I am going to talk a bit about, can grief and strength exist together? So if you are interested in that topic, if you might be feeling some type of way about being strong while grieving, this video is for you. So stick around and let's jump right into it. So for those of you who are new to my channel, my grief journey actually started in June of 2021 when I lost my beautiful and loving mother, Brenda Faye Tolbert, who I will put right here because I can never share or show her too much. But with losing my mom, it was not this super scary, overwhelming sadness that I had. My mother got sick by some things that happened in the hospital, and seeing her body turn on her, being a woman of a spiritual woman, a woman that believes in God, a Christian woman, I really believed that her healing came on the other side. And that gave me a lot of peace when my mother first died. Now, we all know grief comes and goes in stages. Grief can look different from day to day. When my mom died, for example, I didn't even cry at the hospital. I didn't cry, I think, until maybe even the next day or two. And really, it's funny. I don't even know if I do believe I cried the next day. One reason, my brother. So I have a brother. My mom had two kids. I have a brother, I'm sorry. His wedding reception was the next day, the day after mom died. So I had to put on face. My brother had got married that Monday and their reception was Saturday. Mom died on a Friday. So not only was it my brother's reception, it was less than 24 hours after my mom died. And then also that was my grandmother's birthday, my mom's birthday. And my grandma passed away, I believe in 2011, may have been 2012. I want to say it was 2011. But anyway, I was navigating my mother's death in continuing to live. Like there were things that just still had to happen, things that we still had to do. And now I'm almost a year later. We're about 10 months um, into my mom being gone. And the message that people have been giving me from the very start, from when I started sharing with folks that my mom was sick and she was in the hospital, and I had been fighting in the hospital for all these reasons about my mom getting sicker and sicker, right? Everybody kept saying, "You are so strong." But they weren't saying it as a compliment. Or it was such a shocker to folks that I possessed strength in tough times. And all I kept thinking to myself is, isn't strength a, a good thing? Isn't strength something we should have? And that is not, I'm not using that to confuse it with the fact that you shouldn't be vulnerable, or not being strong during grief is not okay either. But I feel like the community that I'm around has really focused a lot on strength not being a normal thing or a good thing in grieving. So 10 months, the last 10 months, when my mom passed, during her services, even as I started to kind of live out loud with her grief journey, my grief journey, and with losing her, it's always been so confusing to folks that I've been so strong. And they're like, you don't have to be. Why aren't you crying? I had a friend who asked me, she was like, why aren't you falling apart? This was right after my mom died, maybe like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, because falling apart's not where I'm at. Falling apart's not what I want to do. And she was so angry with me because she was falling apart. She was crying. She was grieving my mom. And she just didn't understand why I wasn't grieving her in the same way. And I think, one, relationships are different, right? I knew my mom my entire life. Um, my mom was the kind of person who definitely loved the attention. Like, if it was about her, it was about her. So I know my mom probably would have found a little bit of joy in knowing that I was out here acting like falling out. Because she'd have been like, girl, you showing out for me. You loved me. But I also recognize that my mom, she was a creative person, but she really appreciated organization. She appreciated clarity. She was a teacher. And I'm like, right now is not the time for me to be falling apart. I said, I need to organize some stuff. I need to send my mother home. I need to send her back to the Father in a way that she would love and appreciate. And for me, that was how I grieved her. I grieved her in celebration. And all the way up until probably about a month or two ago, and I'm not saying I have never been sad. I have definitely been sad. I felt angry at times. I felt lost at times. I even had a moment where I felt abandoned. Because life is hard as an adult, many of you know, especially when you lose parents, like people that you've literally known your entire life. And I remember just feeling like I need to send mom home. My priority right now is celebrating her beautiful life. When I am ready, I will fall apart. And my falling apart really never happened in the way that people expected it because my mother and I were super close, like two peas in a pod close. Um, and I I started to feel guilty about that because other people's expectation was that I fall apart, that I not be strong. Literally, someone said that to me. They were like, "You shouldn't be strong right now. Like, lean on other people. Allow other people to love on you." And I'm like, I never allowed other people not to love on me. It's just that other people's love is not the necessity to carry me. My strength comes from above. It really comes from God, and I 100% believe that. And I know God is carrying me. And I believe wholeheartedly that grief and strength can exist in the same space. They can live in the same house, they can coexist together. So I've really struggled in the last few weeks with so many people telling me that, like, my strength is weird, essentially. Like, they're not saying it's weird. People are just confused by it. They're like, oh my goodness, you sure strong. I've had people say, I could never do what you do. I don't know, or I don't know how you run your businesses while you're grieving. And I'm like, I still gotta eat. My mama would be so disappointed if I was homeless just because I got sad in a sense. And I know some people's grief is crippling. I'm not saying that that is not valid. I am talking about my experience and the experience of so many folks who can continue to live even though days are heavy. You can continue to live even though those memories are strong. My mom was so influential in my life. She was a pillar of strength and stability for me. For me to lose her and to lose everything she stood for me, would make me fall apart. I feel like I honor my mom in so many ways by continuing to live, continuing to thrive, and being strong in the ways that I know how. Now, when there are going to be times where I should be not so strong. There are times where I don't have to take on everything, and I am learning how to navigate those spaces. But I encourage those of you who are around folks who are grieving, who seem to be strong, seem to have it all together, feel free to check on them. That's totally fine. But please stop telling folks who you know are grieving that they should be sad all the time or that them being happy is kind of not okay, because it is. We also deserve happiness. We also deserve joy. We also deserve moments of peace. Yes, we think about our loved ones probably every day. Some of us multiple times a day. Triggers happen all the time. I know for me, I will see something and it makes me think of my mom. I'll think of something and I'm like, dang, my mom would love that. I'll cook something and I'll be like, my mom taught me how to make this. There's always a reason to remember them. There's always a reason to miss them. There's always a reason to feel like they should still be here, right? But reality is they are not. So for me, the reality is my mother is no longer here physically. I am confident my mother is with the Lord. She is sitting with the Lord. She banging heaven down on my behalf. Me and my brother and my friends. My mom loves my friends. She's banging heaven down to make sure that everything God promised over our lives is happening, because that's the kind of person she was. So I just want to share that strength, so many things can coexist with grief. Strength is one of those things. Please love on people who are being strong. And when they don't have the capacity to be strong, step in. Totally fine. But we have to begin to normalize in some ways that anger and sadness are not the only emotions that go with grief. And this was not me fussing. I hope this didn't sound like me fussing. This was more of me sharing, especially in the last couple of weeks. It's heavily been shown to me because I've begun to talk about my mom more. I've begun to share a lot about my mom. And I'm getting a lot of comments around how strength is kind of weird. But I've also gotten that strength is admirable. Like, oh my God, I admire your strength. You're such a powerful person. Like, I get a lot of positive things too, but I get some negative things around it, or what feels negative. I know people's intent. And that's the thing too. I'm a realist in a lot of ways. I recognize intent and execution don't always match, right? So I am not bashing anyone who's ever told me you're so strong and, you know, it was kind of like off-putting. I know the intent was just, wow, you're doing this, you're living, you're continuing to run these businesses, you're showing up in full form in front of people, and we know how hard your mom's death was on you. But anyway, I say all that to say, y'all, I am grieving, 100% grieving. I have really sad days. I have days of sorrow. I wouldn't even call them sad. Deep sorrow. There are days like that. And then I have days where I am functioning so well and so high. And it's not depressive. Like, I don't feel like I have a depression. I really just feel like I'm experiencing the loss, the absence of my mom. There are days where I'm like, she is not here and I should be experiencing this moment with her. And then it's like, oh my God, that's never going to happen again. And then there are other days where I'm like, Mom, I'm about to do this because you would be so proud. So allow people to exist in all of those spaces, whatever space it is that they desire to live in. So for those of you that are experiencing grief, please know that I am praying for you. I am loving on you. Feel free to send me a message if you have questions. I am not, that is a disclaimer I should put at the beginning of this video. I am not a licensed clinician or anything like that. I am really sharing my experience around grief to help other folks and really just to heal myself. I am not giving out advice from any kind of book that I've written or read or any kind of license that I have. This is purely from my experience, and I definitely feel God is leading me to share from a very natural and real perspective. Even though I do think I believe in therapy, clinicians, professional help, all of those things. I also recognize that you're not meeting with a therapist 7 days a week, 24/7. Some days it's going to be you and your thoughts, you and God or whomever, or you and my YouTube channel. You just need somebody who gets it, who's talking with you or sharing with you, whatever that may look like. So I encourage you on your grief journey to live it in whatever way is beneficial to you. Of course, we know you love your loved one, and this is why grief exists, right? The absence of someone, the presence of grief is because of the presence of love, right? So take your time, sis or bro, or whomever it is that is watching this video. You are not the only one feeling this. Please know we all have moments, and you will get through this. Keep living, keep dreaming, and keep thriving. I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to this channel. And if you really love it, please share and leave me a comment. Bye, y'all.